And chapter 20. If everyone can see me. So, okay. I got water handy if I need it. I think I'll be all right. This is a very long chapter. The usual, but no, it's about a little bit longer, 11 pages with a big picture. Okay. The Centerville Bureau of Children and Parent Relations. That's a pretty weird chapter title, I think. With a gentle bump from the front wheel of the Spirit Flyer, the door swung slowly open. John held on tightly to the handlebars as the old bike rolled through the doorway. A wall of blue flame stopped him. The flame seemed cold and poisonous, as if anything to touch it, as if anything it touched would freeze and die. John looked back to make sure of his way of escape, but the door had disappeared. He looked all around. The wall of flame had surrounded him. He was trapped. Then the circle of fire squeezed closer. John held on. He wanted to run away, but there was no place to run. John, the voice called from beyond the flames. The flame moved closer and closer. John felt colder, not hotter. He looked around frantically. Just as the flames were about to touch the bike, they split apart. The old red bike rolled through the open passage. Then the flames closed back instantly. John seemed to be in a large, flat, bare place that stretched out into darkness in all directions, except for the wall of blue flames behind him. Then he saw a tiny desk ahead of him where the darkness deepened. Someone or something little was sitting at the desk. The Spirit Flyer rolled quietly and quickly toward the distant desk. As John got closer, he realized that the desk and person weren't tiny at all, but gigantic. John could barely see the top of the person's head over the back of the chair. The person sitting in the chair had his back to the boy and bicycle with the desk in front of him. Quietly, John pulled his uncle's gun out of the holster. He aimed it at the person. "This is the Centerville Bureau of Children and Parent Relations," the person said in a familiar voice. "Your little law-keeping device is worthless here, so quit playing good guys and bad guys." The Spirit Flyer rolled around to the front of the giant desk. John lowered the gun to his side when he saw the figure's face. "Hello, Dumper," the figure said, laughing. There was no mistake. It was Barry Smedlow's laugh. And it was Barry Smedlow's face, only different. Besides being huge, the face was too pale and the eyes dull and lifeless, like a snake's eyes. Suddenly the eyes glowed solid red. The Barry figure laughed again, yet it did not smile. The face barely moved at all, as if it were a mask of Barry's face on another body. John couldn't see flesh anywhere. The figure wore a strange gray uniform which covered the neck. Black gloves hid the hands. The sign of the circled X was in the center of his chest. John stared into the lifeless red eyes. "I could kill you," John said defiantly. Whatever it was, it had Barry's personality. The giant figure roared in laughter, yet the face remained motionless. The dull red eyes glowed. "You stupid clay-brained," the Barry figure answered. "You can't kill what's already dead." The boyish voice seemed wrong for the huge person. "Are you a demon?" John asked. "You look like Barry Smedlow, but you can't be Barry." "Who are you to tell me what I am or what I am not?" The Barry figure scoffed. "Barry and I are very close. He's my assignment. Rather like homework. He's a wonderful learner and such an idiot. The little fool feeds me well. I would hate to lose him." For a moment there was silence. Then the Barry figure opened his mouth, an endless dark hole with no sign of teeth or tongue. Well, out of the darkness a red flash streaked like lightning, hitting the gun barrel. The gun glowed red, then dropped like a melted wax candle. The giant laughed again. The gun felt freezing cold. John dropped it. He stooped down and carefully picked it up. With a sigh, he put it into the holster. "That gun is garbage here, just like you and that dump heap bike," the Barry figure said. "Garbage waiting to be burned into ashes, Dumper. That's what you'll be." A noise in the darkness startled John. His name. He turned partway around. Walking out of the darkness into the dim blue light was another gigantic figure in the same kind of gray uniform. The eyes glowed dull red, But even with those dull red eyes, the figure looked like Doug Barnes, one of the Cobra Club members. Though he wasn't as large as the giant, he was still huge. He held a pale blue bowl in his black-gloved hands. Doug, John asked, but the figure ignored him. What do you have, slave? The berry figure demanded. More food has come in, sir, the Doug figure said. His voice sounded like Doug's. John stood on the pedals on tiptoe to see into the bowl. A large black snake wriggled in a circle. Rearing up, it bared its teeth at the giant. With his right hand, the berry figure reached down and grabbed the snake's head. The snake hissed angrily, then bit the black-gloved hand. But the moment the fangs sank into the hand, the snake froze, then crumpled into a pile of ashes. The berry figure scooped ashes into his mouth. After 3 mouthfuls, the bowl was empty. The Doug figure walked back into the darkness, carrying the bowl. What was that? John asked. You should know about those snakes, the berry figure said. You've made many. But you even saw one. I'm told your skid marks snake was delicious. Death feeds the dead. The giant laughed without expression. Get off that garbage heap bike, he commanded. No, John remembered the warnings of his grandfather. He gripped the handlebars more tightly. I see you want to suffer, the berry figure said. Bring them. Out of the darkness, John saw them coming. Catherine was first, followed by Lois, then Susan, then Aunt Betty, and finally Uncle Bill. They walked slowly. Then John saw the heavy dark chains around their necks. The whole family was chained together. The neck rings on Catherine and Lois were large for their small throats. The ones on Uncle Bill and Aunt Betty fit tight. The family shuffled closer, their eyes closed as if they were asleep. Yet their eyes seemed forced shut. They were dressed in the same clothes that John had seen on them when he left Centerville that morning. Bringing back those stolen bicycles seemed ages ago. Uncle Bill, Aunt Betty, John asked. Susan, can you hear me? They can't respond, dumper, the berry figure said. They are X-removed. We X-removed them in their dreams. It's the same dream, but now they're in our control. They have always been in our control, the same as you. Speak, girl. John! Oh, John, Susan screamed. They have us all. Save us, we can't get out. I'm here, Susan, John said. But neither Susan nor the rest of the family seemed to hear him. We have them, the giant said again. Nothing will free them. In fact, we will kill them, turn them to ashes. Such delightful food. Unless what? Unless you sign this deed in your blood, the berry figure said. From nowhere, he held out a thin piece of black paper made of solid ash. It didn't crumble as John took it. Deed, I, John Kramer, hereby give up the Spirit Flyer to be destroyed. I will never again associate with or wear the sign of the Three Kings. I will proudly wear the mark of the Circled X, the sign of treason. Future King of the Deeper World. Signed, blank. I have the pen and needle ready, the berry figure said. He held up an odd pen and sharp, cruel needle. Sign this and you will be able to return to your life on Tohu Wabohu, that garbage heap world. The others will go with you. Sign quickly. Here's the needle. We need only 1 drop of blood. The giant howled with laughter. The needle glistened in the cool blue light. Talk about blue light. That looks like blue in there. Huh. Them things are goofy. The slingshot of the kings. John stared at the long, shining needle. His heart pounded. And if I don't sign, John asked, trying to think of some way to escape. The wall of flame still burned in the darkness. I'm into another chapter. Oh, no, I can't do that. Maybe I will, since I started it. 2, 3. Oh, it's a shorty. Okay, you're lucky. And if I don't sign, John asked, trying to think of some way to escape. The wall of flame still burned and the darkness seemed endless in all directions. John knew that more creatures like the berry behind the desk were hidden in that darkness. You will die completely and slowly, the giant figure said. And so will your pitiful family. Just like your father and mother, they broke the order of the chains. We make ashes of anyone who breaks the order of the chains. So he claims, right? There's a picture of the Barry figure pulling out the deed. The what? John asked, stalling for time. He reached for the gun in the holster, then remembered that it was useless. The order of the change, the Barry figure said. We are all made to be part of the same chain, each of us a link. We are connected to each other, don't you see? The order of the change must be complete before treason rules the deeper world forever. We will triumph and kill the king. That's not true, John said. The king's son won back magic and broke the powers of the chains. Who told you that lie? The giant roared. His eyes glowed brighter. That's a fairy tale of the kings. Your parents believed the same thing. And look what happened to them. Ashes. They lost pleasures and power. We can give you anything you want. Just one drop of blood is all we ask for now. For now. What do you mean for now? John asked. Since you are only a boy, you will need to contribute more when you are older, the Barry figure said. Sort of like an installment plan. Little by little you give. It doesn't hurt that way. But what did my parents do wrong? John asked, still stalling. He knew demons lied. Your father was trying to take back the toys, the giant said, but we control the toys in Centerville. Your father wanted to give out more spirit flyers and other things from the kings. He wouldn't cooperate with our plan. He did not obey the order of the change. We turn anyone who disobeys the order into ashes. What was the plan for the toys? John asked. Grandfather Kramer had said something about plans of the demons. You are boring me, Dumper, the Barry figure said. I can't believe you clayheads are so stupid. We only obey the order here. Our department covers children and parent relations in Centerville. We're a small department, but we follow the order. Your parents interfered. Now you and your garbage heap bike are interfering. Quit stalling and sign. We'll give you another bicycle, one that flies better than the Spirit Flyer. Now sign, or you will have the same fate as your father and mother. You want to save your uncle and his family, don't you? Sign, and they will be able to return. The giant stood up. The needle glistened cruelly in his black-gloved hand. He pointed at the deed in John's hand. John looked around desperately. Then there was no way to escape. Suddenly, in the surrounding darkness, countless red, glowing eyes appeared and stared at him. The others are hungry, the Barry figure said, then howled with laughter. Ashes to ashes. Help me, John said softly, looking down at the old red bike. Uncle Bill and the family stood in chains, their eyes closed. Then John's eyes fell on the slingshot. He pulled it off the handlebars. You must be an incredibly stupid clayhead to think that that little thing can help you, the giant said. It carries the sign of the three kings, John said defiantly. The king's magic is no good in this place. You are in our world now. It's not the object, but the power behind the object, John said weakly, repeating the words of his grandfather. You believe that nonsense? This figure behind the desk asked. Your parents believed it too. Don't be stupid. Join us. Soon we will rule all the deeper world. Think of the power that will be yours. John forced himself not to listen. His hand shook. In the darkness, more blank red eyes appeared. The things were coming closer. The Barry figure stepped from behind the desk. The needle in his hand glowed red, then grew longer and longer, changing into a type of sword John had never seen before. The needle point looked wickedly sharp. Come fight then, you clay-headed chicken, the giant said. His eyes glowed. Come on, Dumper. Chick, chick, chicky, chicky, chicky. John started to hop off the Spirit Flyer, but stopped. He remembered that the gigantic figure wasn't really Barry, although the voice was exactly. Leave one of those. Don't delete all of them. What's the matter? The Barry figure asked. Did little Dumper chicken out as usual? Or is it your chain that makes you such a weakling? John looked down. A cold chill passed through him when he saw a chain around his neck, just like his uncle's chain and the others. Suddenly he felt weak, as if his arms and legs were made of jelly. He grabbed the handlebars with his left hand. His right hand held the slingshot. You are weak, the giant said, his red eyes glowing colder. That's what it feels like before we kill you and make you into ashes. John felt as if he might fall off the Spirit Flyer. He slumped forward slowly, but at the moment he felt the weakest. Totally confused by the strange heavy chain, the left hand grip began turning, sliding off the handlebars. In a few seconds it was all the way off. John almost dropped the hand grip. It felt so heavy. Then he saw a light inside the hand grip. Something was shining. John tipped the hand grip over into his right hand. A clear marble rolled into his palm, clicking as it hit the handle of the slingshot. Its light was dim, yet constant and pure. John understood what to do. Although the marble seemed to weigh 100 pounds, he put it into the pouch of the slingshot. What I have comes from the kings, John said. He could only pull the pouch back an inch. The marble glowed more brightly. The giant berry made a hideous roar, raising the needle sword in the darkness. The dead marched closer. John held the slingshot in front of him, but it was too heavy to aim. As the giant swung the needle sword, John let go of the shining marble. It shot out, trailing a beam of sparkling light. It cut the needle sword in half, then passed through the circle X on the giant's chest and out his back. It kept going, spreading in the air, cutting a large hole through the wall of blue flame. The path of light was like a road through the darkness and flame as it traveled deeper. The gigantic figure didn't fall, but froze solid, smoke hissing from the hole in his chest as if lightning had scorched water. Then slowly the hole began to close. Escape now, Catherine said in her tiny voice, before the evil awakes. John looked at the path of light and realized that he could escape. The old red bike rolled over to the chained family. Escape now. Take my hand, Catherine moaned as if locked in a nightmare. Slipping the slingshot over the handlebar, John grabbed her hand. Quick, the dead are coming. John looked around. The hole of light in the giant's chest was shrinking faster. Then he noticed the army of dull red eyes approaching. Out of the darkness, John saw the faces. Each one resembled someone he knew in Centerville. First there was Doug Barnes, then Robert Smith and Scott Blake and the other Cobra Club members. Each was a giant and wore a gray uniform. But there weren't just Cobra Club members. John saw other classmates, girls and boys, his friends. Their eyes glowed, and their faces were stiff and blank, all masks. They kept coming. John's mouth dropped open when he saw Roger's face come out of the darkness, the dull red eyes staring into nothing. Then John saw a face that almost made him let go of Catherine's hand. Quick, we must escape now, the youngest girl said. Don't waste time looking at the dead. John glanced at that face once again, then turned to the pathway of the light behind the giant berry. He still held Catherine's tiny hand in his right palm. With his left hand he gripped the handlebar. He pedaled the spirit flyer into the path of light. The whole family had held hands, floating behind John like the tail of a kite. One by one they entered the path of light that separated the darkness. Just then the hole in the giant's chest closed. He turned in rage, his black gloved hand grabbing for the chain around Uncle Bill, who was last in line. Die, the giant hissed. But Uncle Bill entered the path of light. The giant screamed, drawing back his hand as if the light had burned him. Then the whole family was inside the current of light, and the spirit flyer shot forward in a sweet note of deep music and magic. Okay, that's it. Good night.